Okay. All right, so we're starting from the beginning here. We have our 2 pieces of fabric, and we have 4 ties, which can be made out of ribbon or of fabric. In this case, I actually made this from some fabric ribbon that I have. It's in a roll, so I didn't have to cut it and crease it myself, so it worked out really well. So what you want to do is you want to take the right side, take one of these off, because you're just going to work with one to start with. We're going to take our pins, and we're going to pin 1 tie to each corner. Okay, so I'm going to take the first one and just pin it in here. I'm not going to pin it too close to the corner, because if you pin it too close to the corner, you may hit the pin with your sewing machine. And you're not going to be able to see these pins because you're doing this inside out. Here's my second tie, and I'm going to pin this one over here to this corner. Okay, here's another tie, third one. Move this guy out of the way here. And we're going to pin that to this corner. Again, not too close to the corner because you don't want to run over it with your sewing machine. And then the fourth tie, I'm going to put over to this corner. So each corner has 1 tie pinned to it. All right. And you want that to overlap the corners. So that's where we're at. We're going to take all 4 of these and bundle them up. All right, and all 4, and kind of tie them together so they're all out of the way. And they're all going to kind of sit in a bundle in the middle here. And make that angle a little better. I want that to be right at the corner. Okay. All right, so now you take your other piece of fabric. Now there's the wrong side and the right side. So we want the wrong sides out. We're going to pin this one right on top of the one we just pinned. We're making a sandwich with our ties in the middle. And I'm just going to pin along the edges till I get down into the bottom edge, and then I'm going to leave an opening so I'll be able to turn it inside out. All right, there we go. Pin here. Let's pin this edge here too. All right, we go here. And I'm going to show you the pattern again in a second, because the pattern clearly shows you how you want to leave part of it open. We're actually going to turn this inside out. So I'm going to put a pin here and a pin here. I'll show you how. And I have them facing that way, up and down, instead of long ways, so that I know to stop there. If we look at our pattern, you can see that you have to leave this area open here. You can stitch all the way around the edge, and the corners here are where the edges of the ties are pinned. And see how that is. This one should be closer to the corner. I'll pull that there when I'm stitching. Let me move the sewing machine in place. All right, and we're going to start right here. I'm going to pull out some of the pins as I go. And put down the presser foot and hold it in place. Oh, I just noticed there's a tie sticking there. We don't want that. If I stitched over that, it would have caused a problem. So I'm going to start stitching here. All right. Corner. And now we're going to turn, lift up the presser foot, leave the needle in the fabric, turn it, push it down. Pulling out the pins as I get there. Now see how when I stitch this, the tie is sticking out, but I can't, it's all inside. I lift up the presser foot, turn it. Taking out pins. Great. Make sure that this guy is sitting right here. Okay, needle is in. I'm going to flip it up, turn it. What was it? And tie, use it. Pin the needle in. Get this pin out of here. And put down the presser foot. And see how I have my pin here? I know that's where I have to stop so that I can turn it inside out. Pull that pin out of there. Just to strengthen that a little bit, I'm going to turn this, flip it around, and just stitch back a 1/2 inch. Okay, lift this up, grab my scissors, cut that, move this out of the way, and I'll show you us turning it inside out. So I have all the pins off of the outside part here that I just stitched. But you can see that I still have pins inside where I pinned the corners. So now we're going to flip the whole thing inside out. I'm going to reach in there and grab some of them ties. I'm going to pull them. Turn it inside out. Okay. Now we're going to have a number of pins to take out now, those 4 pins that we used to put it in place. Okay. So take these pins out. All right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, all those pins are out of place. And now we have this part. Okay, our ties have all been secured by this set of the seam that we just did all around the edge. And I believe that this is where I stopped previously, but I think I'm going to do the first set of how we do the pleats. And if I need to, I can just edit this video. So I've got some pins here. And I'm going to take this and make 1 pleat here. Just press it down a little with my fingers. Keep it down. Now, 1 here. So notice I'm not pinning all the way close to this edge or this edge, because my machine is going to have to run over that section. And I really don't want to have the needle hit one of the pins. Okay, so that's 1 pleat put in place. See? Now I'm going to do another one. I only put 2 pleats in these. I know the pattern has 3. I think it's a crowd, and I think they work just fine with 2. I've been using them with 2. Okay, here we go. And there we go. So I have 6 pins in there. And what we're going to do now, this is the end that was open. We're going to start stitching here, go all the way around, and then come back around and do it again. So you do know if you have any questions, you can always get in touch with me. We're going to start here. We're going to start with the pins on top. All right, here we go. Again, I'm going to leave the needle down and turn it. Now, I'm going to stitch this edge where the pleats are, and this has to be done slowly. Okay. One more. Oh, my bobbin ran out. And we're back. I'm recording this again. Here we go. I've got partway through the seam, the first set of pleats. And you can see how I had to just stitch right over where I had folded to create the pleats. Now we're going to do put the presser foot down again. We're going to go straight. And there we go. One more stitch. Leave that needle down in the fabric. We're going to turn it. Now we have the next set of pleats on the side seam to do. And there we go. Now I'm going to just stitch in 3 stitches worth. Now I'm going to start again and go another seam all the way around. Again, up over the pleats. Again, securing the pleats in place, but since we're going over those corners again, we're also securing our ties yet again. Each of these ties will be stitched in place 3 times. Means that they really shouldn't pull out. And leave that in. I'm just going to back stitch a tiny bit. This machine doesn't have a back stitch. Just turn it around and go backwards. Okay. So now we'll take these pins out. And there we are. All right. Yeah, let's stop recording. Now we're recording. Oh, geez. Well, there is a video that I put together with this that I have on YouTube, and I'll be sending that link out afterwards. But so here we go. We have our, we've done the stitch all the way around the edge and then flipped it inside out through our little opening here. We're going to lay this flat, and now we're going to put in our pleats. So the first pleat we'll take about 1/3 of the way, and we'll fold it over to there. And now we'll pin about 1/3 of the way over. Okay, it looks like I have a new message. I will post a video. Yes. Yeah, I put together a video on how to do this. I posted it the other day, and I'll be sending you guys the link to that. And I'll also be posting this class. I'm recording it now. Unfortunately, I forgot to record right at the beginning. And so I've pinned one pleat. Let's put this down so you're not looking at me. It's much more useful to actually look at my hands. And now we're going to do another pleat. And again, I'm going to pin that about 1/3 of the way over here. Okay. Oh, that's that needle again. Oh, well, we'll use it as a pin. Okay, about 1/3 of the way over. And again, on the other side here, also about 1/3 of the way over. And you'll notice that my pins, I'm trying to keep them away from the edge because I'm going to be stitching around there. And then I'm going to put a pin in the middle. So now we'll look a little closer to what I just did. See how, and on the other side, you can see how I did the folds. You could try and center them more. You could actually try and do 3 folds like in the pattern. But I really had a lot of trouble trying to fit 3 folds into this size. So, all right, so we've got this pinned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do two rows of stitching all around the edge. And I'm going to raise this back up, adjust it again while I put the sewing machine in place. It actually is a helpful little machine for stuff like this. Okay. All right. Okay, and we have a couple other latecomers joining us, and that's okay. We are recording, so all right, so the first place we're going to go is, remember this opening? We're going to stitch along that bottom row first. All right, and that's where we're going to start. Where's my pedal? There it is. Okay. And here we are. Now, where it gets tricky is the side seams, because you have some bulky areas there. Now, remember what I said about leaving the needle down in the fabric, lifting the presser foot, and turning it. Okay, now, this is the part that gets tricky. All right. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to stitch right over where I have it pleated, but without touching these pins that I put in. But it's still pleated on the edge. So I kind of have to hold it in place, but it's really important to not get your fingers close to that needle. So can you see what I did here? Yeah, how do I get this a little lighter there? Try putting my phone on this. So here you can see how I stitched the pleats. Okay, now we're going to do the other long side. Okay, does somebody have their audio? I see Lucia, I guess. Can you mute yourself? If you have your audio on, it degrades everybody's signal, and then any background noise ends up, everybody can hear it. So here we are at the corner. And again, I left my needle in the fabric, and I'm turning it. So now I have to go down the other side with the pleats again. And I'm going to try and just hold them in place where the pins are and just stitch along. There we go. That's actually the trickiest part of these. Okay. And now at this point, you can see we have now stitched all the way around the edges. Here's the part where the pleat is. And whoop. So you can see that I pinned it in place, but I also secured the edge of that pleat around the edge. And that's what's important, because these pins are going to be gone, but when you wear it, it'll expand in the middle there. I guess we've all seen these pleated masks at this point. So I finished up that one. I'm going to pull this up, pull this out, and clip. All right, so we can take a better look at this. So that is one row of stitching. I like to secure these with two, but if you're doing this, yes, the video is going to be posted afterwards. Just, I had a question about that there. So yes, we'll be posting this video, and there is a video that I already made that talks about the complete process. But so what I'm going to do, stitching just inside of this row. So it'll be 2 rows of stitching, but really there's 3 rows securing the entire mask, because the first row secured the strings in place. But because we've been sewing all the way around, the strings, the ties, are secure each time we sew another row in. Now, if you're doing this by hand, you may not need to do 2 full rows inside, especially if you have really good hand stitching skills. So I'm going to do the last row, and we'll take another look. Then we'll take some questions. So I'm going to start in the same place. And as you can see, I'm in about 1/4 inch from where I was. And the pedal again. Okay. Perfect. There we go. And as always, the tricky part, I caught a thread on something here. The tricky part is going over those the thick fabric part of the pleats. All right. And go. Go. And now we turned it again. As you can see, we've got 2 rows now. And now just one more long, the long side. We put down the presser foot. All right, and I'm going to overlap where my last row was. I'll end there. Okay, and up. Okay. All right, if you're doing it by hand, how close should our stitches be? To each other, or to, or do you mean how big the stitches should be, or how close how close together the seams should be? Elizabeth, if you want to just jump in, and both of those. Okay. So if I were stitching this by hand, I would say I would still, okay, so the outside seam you have to do, you'll want your seams to be, are you a hand quilter, Elizabeth? Do you quilt?
No, I haven't really sewed since I was in elementary school. I'm just trying to.
Okay. Okay, then, so, because they have to be pretty small.
Okay.
So I would say, let me think, usually with quilting, you can usually get like, I think it's like 6 stitches to an inch, or 8 stitches to an inch, which is really small. You may not need to go that close, but as small as you can. Okay. Because the smaller they are, the more secure of a stitch it is. Also, in terms of hand stitching, let me see if I've got this needle here. Let me see if I can thread it and see if I can talk a little bit about hand sewing. Because I just took the stitches out. Let me just show you. So I took out the pins. You can see when you wear it, it expands where you have the pleats. Now I have to wash this. But, so now I'm going to thread this needle and see what we get here. If I try to show you what. You have a thimble too, right, Elizabeth?
I do not.
I hope. Because hand stitching without a thimble is brutal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Although, if I recall correctly, Joanne Fabrics is still open. So, they're still open, like they are open limited hours, but I can't live without a thimble when I'm hand stitching. So, I would say, let's see, I'll show you where I am. So I've threaded the needle here. So when you're hand stitching, the way that you do it when you're quilting is you don't knot, you just loop back over itself. I don't know how well you can see what I'm doing, but you loop back over where you just stitched at least twice, and that holds it in place. See how I'm doing the same stitch as I did, but I just did it 3 times. So now this is real secure. It's not going to come out. It seems kind of silly, but totally, if you just wrap it around itself. So that's 1 stitch. And then if you have your pin, your needle rather, excuse me, and I'm going to try and see if I can use the light from my sewing machine to help you see this better. You're going to want to like use your, oh my goodness, I haven't hand stitched in a couple years. All right, so you see how I ran this through like 2 or 3 stitches at a time, and now I'm going to pull it. All right.
Okay.
So there's my hand stitching. Now, every couple that you do this, you'll want to go back over. Like, see how the thread comes out here? I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to start another set of stitches. In, out, and then push it through. So every few stitches, you want to put in a little back stitch to secure it if you haven't done any hand sewing for a while. That's one way. That way, if your thread breaks, it's not going to pull everything out if it's all one running stitch. If you know what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was helpful.
So
Thank you.
Okay, good. I hope so. So those stitches, that's probably about 6 to an inch there. I don't have a ruler in front of me, but that's probably pretty close. Sorry, I'm like talking and yeah, I think this is about an inch here. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's about 6 stitches to an inch. Let me see if I can, yeah. All right. Any other questions? I'm sure that there are. I ran through this so quick. I mean, it's
I have another question about hand sewing.
Sure.
How do I end it?
How do you end it?
Yeah.
The same way you started it.
Okay, so just that triple.
Just go over and over. The other thing, one thing that quilters do too, is that they make a little knot and then they pull it into between the layers. That's a little fancy, but it might be possible to do with this. So if you made like just a small knot, it can't be a very big knot. And if I make a little knot, let me see. I tangled it up. That ain't gonna work. It's best to just like do the loop and loop and loop over. Or you could do knots too, but I think that if you've been securing your stitches every like 5 stitches all along, it'll probably be pretty secure. Okay.
Barb, I have a question.
Sure.
And I'm so far behind, I had to take it all apart. 2 of my ribbons came out. Anyway,
Okay.
when you were sewing and you were going around, where we pinned the ribbons inside, I'll call it inside,
Okay.
when you were sewing, were you pulling those pins out or were you waiting till you inverted the fabric?
I waited till I inverted it.
Oh, okay, good.
I pulled them out at that point after it got turned inside out.
Okay.
Because
okay.
those pins were between the the two sandwiches.
Correct. It's
Right,
only
so
on
you
one.
can't pull those out.
Okay,
It's
it's
only the
on
ones
one.
along the edge. Only the
Right.
ones around the edge, Yep.
Okay, thanks. Let me mute
Good.
myself.
Okay, no problem.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. I keep hitting the wrong thing.
That's okay, Mayor. All right. Any other questions? I'm going to take this stitching out of here. Any other? So I definitely have the video on YouTube, and I will send that out to you all after the class is over, and then I'll send out the recording, which unfortunately isn't totally complete. I should probably go back and redo the beginning so that everybody can benefit from the actual beginning part. And if I had another set of ribbons, I would actually just throw together another one for you guys. Let me see if I can find something I can use.
How
Any
about
other
shoelaces? Do you think shoelaces would work too?
They totally would. I
Okay.
believe they would. You just wouldn't be able to, you can't, you know how they have those little hard things on the end? You'll need to clip those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then should you like reinforce where you clip it and sew it?
No, I would only just clip off one edge.
Okay.
Then that way, if that's the end that ends up in the seam, then you don't have to do anything to the other end.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let
you
me-
won't have to do this thing that I did with these wide
Okay.
ribbons. And
Okay.
you really only need to do this on wide ribbons that are going to fray, and these guys totally fray.
Okay.
When we cut them, I realized how much they fray.
Thank you.
Let me see whether I have any other. No problem. No problem. Let me see if I have any other
Barb,
kind of stuff in here. Yes.
for Mayor, I cut 2 extra sets of fabrics, and that's what I used because I didn't have ribbon. I found shoelaces, and that's what I used.
Oh,
They're
and you
nice
used.
and flat, and they seem to be
Yeah,
working.
that makes
fine.
sense. Great, great. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, shoelaces are a great idea.
Okay.
They're already set up. Yeah, the original pattern had us actually cutting long strips and then folding it over and stitching all along. And it took me, just that part, took me 45 minutes.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
I was like, and it looked awful. It was not that good. And I mean, and I know how to sew. I've been sewing for a long time.
Right.
And it was just like, this is nuts. I can't ask beginner sewers to do this. So how about elastic? Michelle asked. Yes, elastic is totally doable. And in the instructions I gave you, they talk about elastic. Yeah, so you could use 2 flat pieces of elastic, about 7 inches long. And that's if you're doing it to have 2 loops for your ears. One other way you could do it is you could use longer pieces of elastic, about, I don't know, I think they're about 12 inches. I'd have to measure. And then put them on the top so that they go around your head. So those you have to open up and put over your head, and then it goes around the back of your head. But I find them more comfortable than the ones that just have 2 loops that go around your ears, like the disposable ones. But you can totally use elastic for the ear loops. And if you look in the instructions, it says you could use 1/4 inch sewing elastic. You could use 1/4 inch, you could use 3/4 inch or 3/8 inch. I wouldn't go 3/4. 3/4 inch elastic is too wide. But 3/8 would work too if that's all you have. I actually had some really, really skinny elastic that worked okay. It was actually left over from a Halloween mask making, if you can imagine that really thin elastic.
Okay.
And so we have plenty of that at the Tacony lab. So, but it wasn't working out real well. I was gonna have these masks have that elastic, and it was really hard to stitch it. So, but if you can get elastic, totally. Yeah, it's a good thing. Any other questions? I think you need me to show. I'm going to mute you, Mayor. Anybody else? You didn't just have a question, Mayor, did you? Because I noticed that your mic was on and I just muted you. So I apologize if I muted you as you were about to ask a question. La, 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 la. Okay.
Yes, I am going to ask you a
you were?
question.
Oh, okay.
No, it's okay. Well, I'm glad I wasn't cursing, because if you could have heard me before.
No worries.
When you did the video, or this video too, it's the pleating thing. I mean, it's bad enough that I couldn't sew a damn rectangle. The pleating part of it,
Yeah.
I'm concerned with being able to do that.
Okay.
So the video, I was trying to watch you and watch what I was doing, and I should have just watched you.
That's fine. No worries. So
Like,
the way that I did the pleating is.
I'm sorry to everybody else.
What's that?
I said I'm sorry to everybody else if I'm repeating things.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
all right. No worries.
Okay.
You're loved, Mayor.
Thanks.
Don't worry about it.
Who are you, Warren?
So the way that I do it,
Okay.
with the pleating is
Right.
I grab both edges and just fold it with my fingers.
I just fold it.
And here, let me show you here.
Good. Okay.
So, and here's my wire from the
Okay.
machine. Let me move that out of the way here. Okay. So I grab two ends and I pull it a little tight and then fold it over.
And fold
like
it.
that. And then what you can do as well is you can iron this before you sew it.
Okay.
I tend not to because ironing, it's a pain.
Right.
But it's easy. So the way that I did it, and let me show you from this angle a little bit too here, is that I reached across from both sides and I pulled it a little tight and then just folded it over itself.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then just pinned it in place
Pinned
on
it in
one
place.
end, and
Okay.
then kept it down, pinned it on the other edge,
Okay.
so that I had two pins in, and you can see the stitching's going to go here, but I
Right.
wanted to just pin it in the middle
Okay.
because I didn't want to have the pins too close, because when I run over pins, I ruin needles, I wreck machines, it's not good. So, and then I put a third pin in the middle.
Okay.
See how that got 1, 2, 3, and then this is where it ends up. So I'll do the other pleat too, although this is only a single sheet of fabric.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And you could do it this way, you could do it this way. The pleats don't have to be super scientific. They don't have to be in specific places. As long as your mask is pleated, it will expand to your face.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to pin this one in place too, and try not to pin to my placemat here on my kitchen table. All right, and one more in the middle. Okay, so you can see now with this one, I made it like a box pleat. You can see that the pleat goes like that. It goes bink, bink, bink.
Okay.
All right, or the way that I did the other one was like that, like a zigzag. All right, but you can see that they're not like super measured out. And you could take the pattern and you could be, real specific about marking your fabric and trying to get those 3 pleats in. But I don't think that makes that much difference. I mean, if you want your masks to look like super, super neat, I don't think anybody's out there judging masks. I've seen people walking around with winter scarves with their sweatshirts pulled over their face. I've seen them,
Okay.
This is what we're seeing out here. So you don't need to be like super precise unless you want to be. Everybody,
Thanks. Thank you.
We all have our little things. No problem there. Okay. Any other questions? And if not, I'll move along. Thank you all for joining in, and thanks for picking up the kits, and I hope that you're able to make yourselves and, you know, maybe a couple masks for friends. As I did say in the beginning of the video, we have some of the fabric packets left. We didn't have enough ribbon to do, we cut out enough fabric for 50, but we only had enough ribbon for 30. So I was only able to do 30 kits for people. But if you do want more, and you can supply your own ribbon or elastic, or you want to do that crazy thing where you stitch all along and make yourself a tie out of fabric, you're welcome to do that. And we have some, so just send us a message and we can put together a couple more kits for people who might want just the fabric.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I mean, we cut the fabric to size. We didn't know that we weren't going to have enough ribbon. So,
Do you need ribbon? Do you want some ribbon if I have some?
probably not at this point.
Okay. Okay.
Because yeah, I mean, at this point we'd have to, because I ironed, everything in your packet was ironed on high
Okay.
heat. And then after that, it was not touched by human hands. I packed them all with, I was wearing masks. And these were packed like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Actually, they sat for a couple of weeks after they were packed. I ironed everything on high heat, and then I handled it all with rubber gloves and a face mask myself. So I know that, okay, can I request kids fabric? Actually, you can't request any fabric. So some of these were, it was very random what ended up in what pack, and we can't really open them up and see. Yeah, sorry. It was all luck. There was some really cool, yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it was just very random. The one that I had happened to have Tinkerbell. It had this purple. It had the skulls that I show in the other video. I've got this pretty like floral print, and then this leopard, which I see Karen's on here. Karen, I saw this and thought of you. Anybody else? So, but this was my my extra pack. All right. So if you want another pack, send us a message through Facebook, and that way myself and Emily, who helps at the Tacony Lab, will set up a time for you to come and pick them up. All right. Any other questions? Who's still on? I think Mary, you're still on. You still have
Yeah.
your audio on.
Oh, again.
Okay, well, I'm glad you all tuned in. This is fun. These online classes are certainly something different for all of us, and we're enjoying them. So if anybody has any questions, you know how to get a hold of us. And like I said, you can totally send us a message through Facebook, and those last few fabric packets we can get out to people. They're cut to all the same size as what you have in your in the packets that you got. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to go back, and I may record a beginning again for this and add it all together before I put the class on again, before I post this video. But in the meantime, the other video is on the Tacony Lab YouTube channel. And thank you, Mayor. That's really sweet. It's on the Tacony Lab YouTube channel. We've been putting things on there, actually some different interesting things. And what's really going to be interesting is we're trying a lot of different kinds of classes that we wouldn't normally do. Like Thursday and Friday, we actually have 2 dance classes. We have a hip hop and a jazz dance class taught by Charles Tyson. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, I'm gonna end the meeting then, unless there's any other. Thank you, Jessica. You're very welcome. Karen, nice. I can't wait to see you again. It's been such a long time. Yeah, and yes, thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch up with you later. Send us a message if you have any questions or need anything.